I saw a thing the other day. I saw a thing earlier today. It was like retro version. Like, did you have a childhood? Did you have an AOL email address and a MySpace? Did you use vinyl records and a rotary phone? I'm like, those are from different
Whoa, hold on
eras.
a minute.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
Did you have an AOL email address? Did you use MSN chat rooms? Did you have to send mail via the Pony Express? If
Like
so,
this.
you're probably a Gen Z.
Did you catch the Spanish flu?
Yeah. Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast that calls it the superb owl. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm Patrick. Katie
I
Ruby
don't
is just freaking out in her car right now. She's
I
getting
don't
so
like
mad.
sports ball.
Congratulations on the big win.
I went to the Rihanna concert and a football game kept interrupting it. I don't understand.
Our amazing, wonderful friend Katie Prejean McCready.
Who's on offense? I don't know.
It looks like
I don't play sports ball.
We occupy a hazardous middle ground where we both hate football and hate people who hate football.
Yes. Well, crazy thing is, given my history with the great oblong egg.
The egg shape?
Yeah, I watched the game. I watched the big game.
You watched the big game?
I did.
That's cool.
And it was cool. Except for that, I didn't really watch it because we were like trying to put Peter to sleep. And so I like missed the whole middle of the game. But I saw like the first quarter and the fourth quarter. So
that's the part that matters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
they give you a little hint of who wins at the beginning, and then
right. What do you mean they give you a hint?
Then you're like, oh, foreshadowing. One of the teams scored a point.
Oh,
that's foreshadowing.
It's foreshadowing
Because the person who wins gets the most points. So when someone scores a point, it's
a foreshadowing. So anytime anyone gains a yard, it's a leitmotif, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's wonderful.
A little. I did watch the game. Considering my history is shocking, but also I've come around to the fact that sports are fine, and you can watch them when you want. And I don't think you have to justify yourself at all.
You don't have to.
You don't want to. You don't have to. But I just don't understand how come they make so much money. Can you explain that to me?
I'm glad that we're doing the.
I'm working 12 hours a day to feed my family. And is my life worth less than a guy that sits on the bench for half of the game? I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. What about the heroes, the nurses, and the doctors?
I'm not a hero.
You're not.
A hero is someone who gets up out of bed every single day, puts on his pants, puts on his suit, goes to work.
I'm already disqualified from being a hero.
Just gets a distress call from the commissioner, pulls off his clothes,
takes off his pants, takes off his coat, goes back to bed. So it's been a week since the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Our nation has drastically changed. The phoenix has risen from the ashes. The egg has been deposited.
I forgot to do this bit.
Okay, I'm ready.
I got a Super Bowl ring.
Why? Where did you get this? Is that made out of Lego? Is that a Playmobil ring?
It was on a cupcake. And my wife let me have it because it perfectly fits my ring finger for some reason.
You have comically large hands.
I don't understand why they made the cupcake ring that big.
Well, because they want it to one size fits all. You know,
it was designed in Minnesota and made in China.
Really?
Yeah.
American jobs.
But I got this Super Bowl ring. So thank you. You thought my name was Patrick Nevy, but I'm actually Patrick Mahomes.
No way, Mr. Mahomes. Yeah. So nice of you to drop
Your
in.
Honor.
Can I? Might I
Mr. Mahomes, it's been an honor.
Can I please have $20 million now? Since we're friends.
I understand why I love this meme so much, but it's the skipper penguin. Mrs. Obama, it's been an honor.
Mrs. Obama, yeah. Madagascar penguins saluting. I wish I'm upset that they went the route of making a TV show based on the penguins of Madagascar instead of
Yeah,
doing like the Minions. That was like the penguins of Madagascar are what the Minions were 10 years before, and they should have gotten their own spin-off series of movies instead of sticking with that stupid lion and zebra hippo giraffe combo that they had.
yeah.
Unfunny, unoriginal, ridiculous. I don't even it was Chris Rock, David Schwimmer who played the hippo.
Um, I don't. I couldn't tell
And
you.
then some guy that played the lion. Not funny.
No.
The penguins that were like fascists, that was funny. I want the fascist penguins to have their own movie series, you know?
I I don't know. I wonder if the penguins have the same like. Okay, have you ever gone to a McDonald's and say, you know what I really like on my burger? I like ketchup. So I
Yeah,
want extra ketchup on my McDonald's hamburger. And
sure.
then there's too much ketchup on the
Mhm,
burger
mhm,
and
mhm.
it ruins the burger
Right.
because it's just ketchup.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what they did with the TV show. I feel like a movie would have been the proper amount,
Oh,
you
I
know, like
see.
just a spin-off film, like a Minions, right? But
Hmm.
just one of them.
Just one
It's but
minion.
instead we got Afro Circus. Like who nobody asked for you know what I'm talking about?
No.
When the zebra is dancing, it goes da 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 Afro da 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 da
Oh,
Afro
yeah. Everyone
Circus,
in my
Afro
fourth grade
Circus,
class thought
Afro
that was
polka dot
so funny.
polka dot Afro.
Yeah, everyone thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, we've all been through it.
That was what TikTok was before it was TikTok. It was teasers
TV
from
commercials,
movies
yeah,
that would just
that
get
would bec
repeated
that
and
would become
repeated,
catchphrases.
and it's just the best joke in the movie put on for free. You don't need to go see the movie.
Yeah, that's always a huge bummer when they put all the jokes in the trailer and then you go see the movie and there's no other jokes. You're like, "Man, I got again."
They pulled a fast one on me.
I
Have you
went to
ever
go
seen the
see a
movie
movie. Oh, good.
you ever seen the movie, Trouble? I don't know if it's technically a feature-length film, but it was released as the movie Doggone Trouble. You can look it up if you want. It's a movie. I forget who it's about a dog that's pampered and then he
Okay.
gets lost, and so he has to become
A
he has
real
to.
dog.
No, it's an
Oh.
animated dog.
It's not what I meant.
Oh.
Like, he has to go from being a pampered dog to being a real dog.
I
That
understand.
like,
No, he's an animated
this is
dog.
not a this is not a Space Jam situation where they have to come
No,
into the real
no, this
world.
is not Homeward Bound, but it is
Yeah.
the plot of Homeward Bound, but it's not Homeward Bound.
So
Did you ever
why
watch Homeward Bound?
no, I don't know about
No.
any of these. I wasn't allowed to watch dog-themed films growing up.
Like, this will influence the kids, they'll want a dog.
Yes, well, my parents I begged for a dog. You've heard this. I've told the story about how they made me go outside and water the dog, you know, in the February mornings.
Prune the dog.
But I think my parents intentionally did not select dog-based films for me to see,
Specifically so you wouldn't fall in love with
specifically so
dogs.
that I would not fall in love with the dog. Marley and Me, not allowed. Even though I know that Jennifer Aniston kills the dog at the end. I don't know what happens in that movie. Um, we did go see the Shaggy Dog with Tim Allen in theaters. I remember that. We also saw Underdog,
Oh.
the superhero movie, the live action one in theaters. So anytime there was a remake of something from my parents' childhood related to a dog, we were allowed to see it. But it was strictly confined to nostalgia.
Strictly nostalgia bait. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so Trouble was originally released as Dog on Trouble, and he goes and he has to be a real dog,
He has to be a
and
real dog. Get a
yeah,
job.
he has to, go make the bones, He has to trade bones on the the New York Stock Exchange. All right.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the one joke in the movie is
Mhm.
that he backs into a tree and
Okay.
all of the acorns from the tree fall out, and the
Mm.
squirrels
Mhm.
go, "You
You
dropped our
dropped our
nuts.
nuts.
You took our nuts, and now we are
And
mad at you."
it's funny because they say nuts, and that's
And
supposed to be it's supposed to be
dude,
testicles.
I kid you not,
Yeah?
this joke where they say nuts repeatedly, not just the word
Nuts.
nuts, but they come
Right.
on the squirrels would every time they came on screen, they would talk about their nuts.
Oh,
8 times the squirrels appeared. Each of those 8 times had multiple nuts jokes. So
okay.
I'm
So
counting
we're
all of
talking
those jokes as
24 to 30 nuts.
This was the runtime of this movie was like 53 minutes. I'm pretty sure 13 of those minutes were
Yeah,
nuts jokes.
we're just nuts jokes.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Phoebe and I were so like bored by the end of it.
Why did
And
you watch
then
this? Was this on
and
Disney
then
Plus?
it was on Netflix. And
Okay.
then
And then
instead of the ending of the movie
at the end of the
was
movie.
a rap that recapped the entire movie. Wrapped
When was this created? When was it
by
made?
Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
Yes, because his name is the word dog is in it. You gotta look it up. It's yeah.
looking it up now. It was made in 2019.
Really? That seems
Yeah.
too recent.
Oh gosh, it's ugly. It looks like
Trouble the dog.
yeah, why would you watch this? You're both adults. What are you doing with your time?
Come on, it looks fun.
No, it doesn't. It looks awful. What do you it's 53 minutes long and you're like this is about to be an hour well spent.
So for a while, Netflix every
Starring Big
Friday.
Sean.
For a while, every Friday. Now,
Yeah.
this film was released on May 28th, 2021 by Netflix. So that was about 2.5, almost. Yeah, it was almost 1.5, almost 2 years ago. So this was back. Netflix used to. They might still do this. I don't know. Just release like a new movie every
Sure.
Friday. There was
Okay.
like a new release, and it was something different every week. And so we were always like, I always had off on Friday, and so our Friday would be we hang out all day,
Mhm.
we
We
make
watched the
pistachio
worst movie that
pizza,
we can
and then we
find.
watch the movie that Netflix is pushing that week.
Wow.
We had
Wow.
some really good ones,
Sure.
and we had some really bad ones.
Are you still doing this? Well, like,
No,
is
we have a
today your
kid now.
day? Today's
No.
Friday? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't work on Sunday, so I am working on Friday.
Nice.
But yes, the movie ends with oh my gosh. Oh yeah, the movie ends with the attention of famed singer-songwriter. Zoe uses the money to revitalize the dog park, named Vanderhoosie Dog Park, dedicated to both Mrs. Vanderhoosie and Trouble. She also begins living her dream as a singer, attracting the attention of famed singer-songwriter Jason Mraz.
I don't
Snoop,
know who Jason
Snoop,
Mraz is.
having probably been adopted by Zoe. I like how they say probably. Shouldn't they know? So having probably been adopted by Zoe, along with Otis and Caramel, proceeds to sing in dedication of Trouble, the entire plot of the movie. Uh, Big Sean as Trouble.
Big Sean is the star.
Big Sean is the
What is
star of
Big
this movie.
Sean? What is Big Sean doing in these? Why is he? What? Big
Joel
Sean,
McHale as Norbert.
Big Sean, you made your money. Go
Yeah, right.
retire. It's
Caesar
over for you.
Milan was in the movie. Betty White. This was her last role. I don't think that's true. Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be funny. Let's look at Betty White discography and see how bad her last.
I don't think discography is the thing, but yeah.
Whatever.
Hold on.
Filmography. Who knows discography? She might have a last release, you know, on the ones and twos. Filmography. Betty White filmography.
Oh my gosh, it was her last film.
Really? Oh,
It was
man.
Betty White: A Celebration. Her last appearance was in Betty White: A Celebration as archival footage, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't
But
count.
yeah,
Her
her last
last role in a fictional film was as Mrs. Sarah Vanderhoosie in the 53-minute Netflix animated Disney animation knockoff release Trouble.
man,
That's so funny.
she didn't have to go out like that.
She did not have to. That's such a bummer. Poor Betty White. She really, I mean, she was on top. She was in Lake Placid in 1999.
She was in Ponyo.
She was in
2018.
She was in let's see here.
That one was off the dome. I wasn't even looking at.
Yeah, you're big on Ponyo.
Everybody knows me. I love movies
Patrick's
about fish people, I think.
Patrick's a big fake Studio Ghibli guy. He likes watching movies that look like they could be Studio Ghibli films but are not. AKA Ponyo.
Ponyo. Listen, okay, I'm not an anime guy, but I did like
However.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. And my sister-in-law is, and she had us watch this one movie. This is probably, knowing this movie, it's probably cringe for me to say this.
Yes, it is.
I'm not a real anime fan.
Already it's cringe.
But have you ever seen the movie Your Name?
Ethan, the movie.
No.
Can't say that I have.
No, the
No.
movie is called Your Name, or it's called something in Japanese. I don't know, but it's
Ah,
very good.
arigato.
It's very good. We had to watch it because Trinity wanted to watch it,
Mhm.
and we did. And man, it wrecked me. I was a wreck emotionally.
Was
If
it
you
so
want, if
sad?
you want to cry, if you first of all, it's beautiful. It's just a
Ah,
gorgeous movie.
yes.
It's very
But
pretty.
it's anime?
It is.
Hmm. I don't know.
It's not like that. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah,
I had
there's
friends watching that were watching Sword Art Online together, and I like watched it with them,
mhm.
and I was like, guys, this is just pornography. What are you doing? This is just smut. Why are we watching this?
Can I tell you about a movie that I saw the other day?
Sure.
I was I was in St. Louis. The reason that I'm a little low energy today is because I was in St. Louis Wednesday and Thursday.
That's right. Back in the STL,
Back in the STL,
you got to fly this time.
I got to fly this time, but my plane yesterday did not depart until 9:30. And so I did not get home until like 11:45
PM.
and PM. Yes. And then Peter was up all night. So it was just
Oof.
yeah, a tough
So you're a low T beta male right now.
I would say that I am struggling. And but yesterday I had all this time. So my coworkers, their plane left at 3:45.
PM.
Yes.
Hmm.
So they took the Escalade and they went back to the airport and they left me in St. Louis. So I had to fend for myself against all of the ghouls
Didn't
and
want to hang out in the STL airport. It's not. It's not great. It's
not for
not
6
great.
hours. The STL airport, it does kind of suck, actually.
It's
Not a
not.
lot
It's
of
not awesome.
options in terms
No.
of places to sit even. Like, there's really not a
Yeah.
lot of seating, and there's not a lot
Yeah.
of, food options.
Although the reason why there's not a lot of seating is why I got to meet Archbishop Aquila, Denver.
Really?
Yeah, he was just sitting in the airport, and I was like, "You look familiar," and he's like, "I'm a bishop," and I was like, "Oh,
Was he in his clerics?
yeah," and I just
Huh,
didn't notice the cross.
sure. Or
He wasn't
the
wearing the hat,
he wasn't wearing
you
the
know?
purple hat?
Yeah, no.
He wasn't wearing a frock or whatever it is, the thing that they
The
have that has
Zaquette.
wings?
What?
They have that little thing that could like the purple
No, he
he
wasn't
wasn't
wearing that.
he wasn't wearing
No,
anything,
he was
okay.
just wearing like a black suit.
Oh,
And anyway, so I shook his hand. I was like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." And then I was like, "I think I've heard your name before." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I was like, "I think I've heard your name before." And I was like, "Yeah." And I think that might be a good thing. I know that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing.
I'm trying to remember if I heard about you because you helped start, like, Focus and the Augustine Institute, or if you were implicated in a report on the Pillar. I don't remember which one
I
it is.
don't remember. But
Yeah.
then I looked him up and I was like, I saw him on the plane again, and he was in first class. He was kind of like he's kind of like, I was like, "Hey, I looked it up. It was a good reason. I really like your stance on confirmation. Have a great flight." Your
Oh,
pauses in
Patrick.
confirmation.
Oh, Patrick. You poor soul. But anyway, I had all this time, and
Listen,
s
some people like my boyish charm. They find it entertaining. They
who?
listen. I don't know.
Who
Maybe the
likes
people
it?
who listen to this podcast.
Yeah, maybe. I like it. I like you.
Comment below if you like my if you think that I'm charming, please.
Comment section is gonna be a graveyard. We don't get comments anyway,
No,
so
we get a few.
they're me. I comment on the videos. So I had them drop me off in a movie theater, and
Okay.
I didn't have time to see Ant-Man 3, so I didn't see it. I also
Oh,
heard that Ant-Man 3 sucked, and so I
that's
wasn't.
everybody says that about every Marvel movie that comes out
Yeah, but I
nowadays.
heard that it was bad.
But like everybody's saying that, I don't care. It's just it's popcorn. It's just
Keep
fun to
consuming if you
watch.
want, sheep, but I don't wanna go see it, and so I didn't go see it. So I saw the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie,
Oh yeah.
Knock at the Cabin,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you something, that was a bad movie.
Mm,
I should have seen Ant-Man 3
bummer.
instead. I know.
Yeah.
It was how sometimes movies, they're like, "We're gonna propose an interesting concept, and then we're going to expand upon that concept and do something interesting with it." What this movie did was, "Here's an interesting concept, and we're going to do nothing with it now. We're just we're gonna give it to you all at the beginning, and then we're gonna sit there for 100 minutes, and we're just going to kind of flop around and do nothing."
The M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end was that there was no
There
twist
was
and it
no
wasn't
twist.
interesting.
Yeah, I was like ready for it. I was like, all right, so we're getting close to the end. So there's probably something crazy is gonna happen soon. And then I just like realized more and more that nothing crazy was gonna happen. And then I like it was getting close to the end, so I pulled up the plot on Wikipedia and I was like, frick, nothing happens. Like I was so mad. I had sat through this whole thing on my like trying to kill time.
That
So
sucks.
instead, after the movie, I went to the World Chess Hall of Fame. I don't know if you saw
That's
my
cool.
photographs that I took.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, because it was right next to where the hotel that we stayed at. There was a movie theater and this little shop. It's called a chess campus that they have over there. So there was like this big chess club that they opened up that hosts a bunch of international tournaments, and then they have a
Mhm.
Hall of Fame, and then they have a diner called Kingside Diner, and because like a Kingside Castle, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And my coworker, we went to eat there once. And my coworkers made fun of me because I fixed the chessboard because it was set up incorrectly. And
Mhm.
they were like, "What are you, some kind of nerd?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yes.
But it's crazy how many chessboards there are in this little location where it's called the chess campus that have the queen on the wrong square.
Huh.
You know? It's so
Weird.
simple. So
You think
such a
they would
simple
figure
rule.
you think you'd figure it out after, like, you sit down to play and you're like, move your D4 pawn and you're like, "Oh, no, the king's behind it." That
Well, a
isn't
lot of people, they don't think like that. But it's so simple. Just the queen's dress matches her shoes. Put the white queen on the white square. Put the black queen on the black square. And
that's
if you look in the right-hand corner, there should be a white square in the right-hand corner. It's called white on right. If you don't get all of that correct, you will have a bad time playing chess.
I mean, my hard the hard thing that I had a hard time learning, the queen thing made sense to me right away
Sure, sure, sure,
because you
sure.
look at it and you're like, "Oh, that the queen
Yeah.
can do that." The thing that I kept forgetting was which comes first, the bishop or the knight?
Oh, yeah.
That was what I had trouble with.
Yeah, that's a tough one if you don't.
But then once I started learning openings, I was like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
obviously the knight
You
can't
also
go
can think
there."
you also think about it just in terms of a regular hierarchy. You know, the bishop is gonna be closer to the king than the knight will be.
Yeah.
And then the castle is on the outside.
Yes. And it can move.
Yes, exactly.
It's Harry Potter castle.
But at the chess club, speaking of anime, there was a gold-plated samurai chess set that was for sale.
Cool.
Do you know how much it was for sale for?
$30.
No.
Mm-mm.
Bob, that's too low. The price is not right. It was on sale for $7,000.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. I sent a picture to Emma. I said, FYI, I'm buying the $7,000 samurai chess set. And she just responded, she said, okay.
Okay.
Uh, but it was good.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
Man,
I'm tired. I don't want to go on business trips anymore because I stayed
no.
in a hotel and I ate out a bunch and my
Yeah.
plane was delayed and now I'm tired. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
Honestly, man, the biggest traveling life hack is to eat healthy.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest traveling hack.
The
The
problem is that we visited a pregnancy center that my company works with, and they took us
Yeah.
to the Cheesecake Factory. How
Okay.
on God's name am I supposed to eat healthy at the
There's
Cheesecake
salads there.
Factory? Salad is not healthy.
That's
Don't
true.
believe the liberal lie that
That's a good
salad
point.
is good for you because it's empty calories. You're not eating anything. You're just eating all the calories come from the sauce that they put on the lettuce.
Well, there's, like, salads at Cheesecake Factory. They have, like, steak at Cheesecake
I got a
Factory.
steak at the
Yeah,
Cheesecake
there it is.
Factory.
When they're paying, you get the steak, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. I looked over, I was, like, worried because I got the steak and everybody else got, like, pasta or whatever. I was like, "Oh, frig, did I screw up?" And I look over, and my boss also got the steak, and he saw that I got it. He gave me a big thumbs up from across the table. I was like, "Hell yeah, dude. I'm
Dude,
in
definitely do it.
business."
Dude, honestly, I don't know if I told you this, but I got 2 steaks for $4 at the local grocery store. It was crazy. They
Patrick,
were
I got bad news
delicious.
for you. Those steaks have been dropped in a puddle outside.
Dude, they were so good. They weren't, like, on
Really?
sale or anything. They were just, like, what I just don't think they just weren't very big, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Um, and oh my gosh, they were amazing. And I was like, if this is how much steak costs, like if this is how much it costs regular, I would eat steak every day. If steak was $2, I'd eat steak every day.
Sure. That's
Yeah,
true. I agree.
but then it wouldn't be steak.
Yeah, what would it be then?
It wouldn't be a treat.
Do
It
you
wouldn't
need your
be a
steak
little
to be a
treat.
treat?
No.
Let's talk about treats for a second.
Okay.
Well, so a lot of the discourse now is revolving around Lent. I see a
Yeah.
lot of people talking about Lent. Are
Mhm.
you so you're a dad.
Mhm.
Do you feel like it's responsible for men such as ourselves to give up a whole bunch of stuff when we're taking care of a child? Because I feel like if I give up like sugar and all these things, what am
Mhm.
I gonna have? I might throw him on accident because I'm craving
I
I'm
think if
craving something.
possible, I've been tossing this back and forth because last Lent,
Mhm.
so that like last year was with Exodus 90, fasting was very fruitful for me. It was very
Sure.
good. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if it will be this year. I
Right.
want it to be
Mhm.
because I've noticed myself overeating,
Yeah.
Um, but like that's not really the reason you should fast.
Yeah, Lent is just a time to diet and exercise, don't you
Yeah.
know? It's
I mean
it's a
that's the
restart of your New Year's resolution. That's all that
that's
it is.
that's the goof that's the goofball. That's the goofball outlook. It's like that's the joke that we always make. Um, I don't know if it's a good idea to fast because that's what Phoebe and I were talking about. Like when we it was like getting towards the end of Lent, and I was still fasting um I was fasting every Monday and Friday. I wanted to fast every day
Yeah, don't do that.
towards the end, and she was like, "Well, because I had built it was at a point where I was like, I figured out that." You can eat like normal on Sunday, and then if you
Mhm.
slowly restrict your calories by Wednesday, you're not going to be as hungry. You'll still get hungry, but you'll be able to handle it more. And then Thursday you don't overeat, and then Friday you're good. And so I was like, I think
Right.
I might be able to like bring myself way down to like not
Mhm.
eat that much food. And
Sure.
she was like, but if I go into labor, you will need food because we'll be at
Yeah.
the hospital for like possibly 36
Yeah, and
hours.
you're gonna see blood, and you're gonna pass out and die because
Yeah,
you
exactly.
bonk your head on the machine,
Yeah.
and then what will your son do? He will have no papa. He'll be like, "My dad fasted so hard, he died."
And so I'm wondering, it's
We
like
don't want
same
that.
same deal now, right? Like if I fast, I get more frustrated easily,
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the point
Um,
of fasting, is
this
to
is the
make
point of
you
fasting is
realize it.
to
I don't think it doesn't first of all, it doesn't matter if fasting is a good idea or not because you have to. It's like one of the things
well,
that
you have
you
to
have to
fast
do.
twice. Like
Yeah.
fasting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's a season of fasting.
Yes.
So what does that mean? I saw a guy post on the Catholic Reddit like the stupidest thing that I've ever seen in my life. It was like a tier list of fasting,
Oh
and he
gosh.
and he like brought out all of like the traditional documents on like this is Spy Wednesday and all these like a bunch of words that nobody uses anymore. And he was talking about all the different days that you fast and all the different solemnities and all this stuff. And he had it. It was the most confusing graph I've ever seen in my life. And somebody in the comments was like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't imply that some forms of fasting are better than others because like every person is different." And he responded. He said, "Actually, some fasting is better than others. The church tells us that you should go above and beyond what the precepts are." And I responded to that message and I said, "How old are you?" So I guarantee he's 19 years of age, without fail.
That was the biggest criticism when you were when I mean we added the caveat of like if you're a single person and you have a lot of time, just go to daily mass.
Right.
But like now I was like, I was out last week. I was going to confession, been going to confession every week, going to mass every week, saying
Hmm.
my prayers every
Hmm.
morning,
Oh yeah.
and I'm getting holier, baby. I
Yes,
can feel it. I
sir.
can feel close to God,
Mm.
doing my thing. It's
Hmm.
not, it's not cool,
Yeah.
it's not interesting, but
Yes.
it's like what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm like, yes, this is good, and it's, you know, um, I don't feel I feel like I'm becoming a saint. Even though I went to Life Teen, I still feel like I'm becoming a saint. Even though they told me that anyway. So
Can we should here's what we should talk about.
we should put that specific guy on blast right now.
We should, and we can,
This
but
said zero phagy? I don't even know what that means.
what? What did you just
Strict
say?
fasting and zero phagy.
What
What
do
does
you,
that
what's
mean?
phagy?
Zero phagy. XeroPhagy.
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 I just made that up. I don't know if that's how you say it.
Probably a way to okay. Xerophagy. The habit of living on dry food. Oh. only bread, herbs, salt, and water are consumed. Among primitive Christians, living on a diet of dry food in Lent, other fasts, restricted diet of bread and water. Oh, I've done that before. Okay, so
So
he's
bread
saying
and
that,
water fast. He just had to feel special about saying bread and
yeah.
water fast.
So tier two,
Yeah.
okay, tier zero is just abstinence, fasting, and then fasting and abstinence on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Um, Generally speaking, if you're fasting, you should also be abstaining. That's general, but that's not a big deal. Abstinence
I feel
all
like you can
Fridays.
fast without abstaining. Like you can just not eat until dinner and then have meat at dinner. You
Sure.
know?
Okay.
Like that's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Generally speaking, it's not.
Generally
It's not a big
speaking,
deal.
it's not.
Like it doesn't make sense to fast all day and then like go to Cheesecake Factory. You know what I mean? Like,
Actually, it does though. Because what if you're like, you wake up, you're like, today's my fasting day, but I have this dinner planned with whoever, you know? It's just
oh
like,
sure,
just
yeah.
do
I
it.
see
You know what I mean?
what you're
Like,
saying.
I
Yeah,
feel like when you say things like that, people will just not fast when they have to have
that's a good
a,
point.
a
Yeah,
dinner like that, you know? Or at least
yeah.
that's been my experience. So
What's black fasting? This guy's making up words.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you realize how it's the most insane chart of all time. But I wanted to talk about something else, and it was a good your life teen point was a good launch for that. For whenever you're done looking at that, I'll get to the next thing.
Oh, black fasting is when you don't eat except for at night. Okay, I understand. Nighttime,
Nighttime.
black.
There's a weird thing that I've just seen come up multiple times recently.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic Twitter, Catholic Reddit, just the church in general, where people say things as if everything ought to be for everyone. And
Mm.
I think that is wrong for multiple reasons. There's a tweet that we saw today that we clowned
Not
on that's
everyone can have my Super Bowl cupcake ring
not everybody
because I
can.
am special.
You're the only one who's it fits on your fingers. For me, it would dwarf my little slender guys,
Yes.
little tiny guys. But today we saw a tweet that got deleted that we clowned on that it doesn't matter who it was by. That was like making fun of conferences. This is a classic thing in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Catholic world. People making fun of conferences, saying like, how dare conferences be so expensive? Well, we should just give the money to the poor. And then there's people saying like, well, you have to do xerophageny fasting, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And there's people saying, well, if you go to Life Teen, you can't be holy because of this, this, and this. It's just like it. I don't understand why, because a thing exists, people are like, well, that thing has to be for me because it's Catholic and it exists. You
Yeah.
know, I don't what is the reason that people think that? Because I just don't it crops
Mm.
up in so many different areas. Is it just
Yeah.
because like Catholicism is universal and like we're just accustomed to feeling like everything is for us? I don't know. It just feels weird. And I feel like we could avoid a lot of inter conflict if we just acknowledge like, oh, the Latin Mass is not for everyone. The Life Teen's not for everyone. Fasting a certain way is not for everyone. Conferences aren't for everyone. Like if we just kind of said that, can we all just go home and like be relax? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
Am I
don't know.
being a moral relativist right now?
Part of it is that
Maybe in a postmodern.
I think there's multiple reasons why people do this.
Yeah,
I think one reason is that I wanted to start with the less bad one and go to the normal one.
sure.
Um, well, I don't know. I guess we're very self-centered. That's reason
Who,
number
you and
0.
me?
Yeah, everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
me.
And then I think another part of it is that we feel whenever whenever I detect in myself a negative response, I try to say, okay, why am I responding this way? Why is this
Mm-hmm.
causing this reaction in me? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
um, maybe it is because this person is a bad person. But okay, if this person is being a bad person, why is it affecting me so much? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just turn the accusation into myself. Um, when I get mad at a conference for existing, right, or Exodus 90 for existing,
Yeah.
I have to come up with a reason. Like I have to make up a guy and be mad at that guy for doing Exodus 90 and then
Sure.
apply it to everybody, right? So
Yeah.
like, uh,
It's
people
crazy
get
how all these guys I make up look exactly like my high school bully. Isn't that weird?
I don't like Exodus 90 because it's too penitent. It's too much. It's not good for like what am I supposed to do if I have a kid? Okay, don't do Exodus
To
90.
Exodus 90.
You know,
Yeah.
um, there's like there's some sometimes the reaction is like sometimes the reaction is woundedness. I feel inadequate. I feel like I can never do Exodus 90. Therefore, it's a bad thing to do Exodus 90.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I'm left out. I'm never invited to conferences to speak. When I go to
Mm.
conferences, I don't feel welcome.
Mhm.
Therefore, conferences must be bad, right? I am not a speaker, therefore it's bad to be one, right?
Mhm.
Um, there's that. And then there's that other thing of like, okay, this is bad for me, so it must be bad for everyone. I don't know. I don't know what that's rooted in. I think there's good and bad reason. There's like and I won't say good and bad. There's like understandable reasons like woundedness, and then there's just like being crotchety, you know?
Sure.
They're very concerned about money. But the criticism of conferences I find to be obnoxious, particularly because like 2 days ago um people were making the same argument against like those ads at the Super Bowl, the
Mhm.
Jesus-y ads at the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, they spent so much money on." We
Mhm.
never we don't never say these things about other things. We tend to say those things about Jesus-y things and not about like other things.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
no one's getting mad at M&Ms for
Yeah.
not spending money on the poor.
I'm mad at M&M's for having a confusing and upsetting branding experience during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know who that actress is. I don't care who she is.
You don't know who Maya Rudolph is?
Why does she have clam in there? That's my thing. So that's rude that she stole that from me. And then, am I supposed to buy them now? Are they different? Is it over? I don't know. I'm confused, and I'm
I
upset with M&M's for not giving that money to the poor.
guy who thinks that the M&M's commercial was serious and they actually made clam M&M's.
It's me. I'm the guy. That's that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm
Why didn't
confused.
why didn't M&M's give that money to the poor, right? It's like, is it possible? Is it possible? Someone made a really great response under that tweet that was like, "Oh, why do I have to go pay hundreds of dollars to go to a conference and do something I can do at my parish?" Okay, good point.
You don't.
You don't. You
Yeah.
actually don't have to.
Yeah.
If there's nothing that's going to draw people to this, then it just will stop existing.
Right.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Then they won't do it next time, you know?
Great.
It's like, okay, these conference centers are not like empty for the rest of the year, you know? Like other people do these things and they're much
Mhm.
more expensive.
Oh,
My
yeah.
Phoebe's cousin works with a production company that does these conferences.
Mhm.
It's for some of these conferences, it's $50,000 a day to rent the space.
Okay.
Just to have the space reserved for you, and that
That
doesn't
doesn't sound
count.
like that much given the size of some of these places.
It's like one of the halls.
Oh, like, not
Yeah,
the main.
not like the whole space,
Okay.
but it's
Dang.
$50,000 a day to rent the space. Okay,
Mhm.
the focus seat conferences are 5 days total. That does not include load in and load out. You have to rent the space for the time it takes to set up and tear everything down. You could be in there for 2 3 weeks prior to the event setting up. So you might have to rent this place for $50,000 a day for a month to even use the space. Right? It's crazy how expensive these conference centers are. They're mostly used for like sales conferences,
Right.
and people pay like $15,000 a person to go.
Yeah. Because the
You know what I
company
mean?
pays for it or
Because the
whatever.
company pays for it, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, but okay, we're taking this secular form and we're making it into a Catholic thing,
Mhm.
right? We've done this for centuries.
Yes.
Sometimes only rich people have access to them. That's
Yes.
just how it
Which is
goes.
another thing, it's like, so the if so let's pretend for a minute that you're exactly right. The average family can never afford, would ever have never have a reason to afford to go to any of these conferences. I agree with you. It's only for the wealthy. So the wealthy just don't get to have conference experiences.
Yeah, they don't get to
Like
do it.
they don't get to do it. They don't get to potentially encounter Christ at a
Yeah,
conference because they have more money than you. Like, so even the logical conclusion of the thing doesn't make any sense
yeah,
because it's just you're mad. Just say that you don't like it and that you don't wanna go.
and it's
Like, instead
okay.
of yeah,
It's
whatever.
okay. Yeah, but I think.
I didn't want this to be about that specific thing, um,
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
which is fine. I don't wanna get too deep into the particular, but
I do think it's worth us talking about the Eucharistic Congress specifically
Sure.
because
Yeah.
like I do think that there's a reasonable not objection, but like a reasonable discussion of like, well, can families go to this thing? Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not, but like the
Yeah.
real revival happened. We were in the text. You were in the text thread. Did you mute that thing?
Uh,
It's a very
yeah.
Ethan thing for you to have muted it, so I don't mind if you did. But we were talking
I
about
don't
the
want any of my
Eucharistic
friends to
Congress.
think that I don't care about them.
we It's okay to mute and check every once in a while. I have group chats like that. But we were talking about this in the one of us was like sticker shock about taking their family to the Eucharistic Congress in 2024, and that makes sense because it's like the registration price alone plus hotel plus food for the week is a lot of money. Um, but like the Eucharistic Congress is like one event
Mhm.
that a lot of people are going to go to. It's mostly
Mhm.
going to be young people and families that can afford that kind of trip. But the real fruit from these conferences is what comes after and what comes before.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like the real good things that come from. I think this is true with everything that's not for you. Is like you don't get to be a part of the thing, but you get to experience the benefit of the thing.
Mhm.
This is true with. It's actually a deeply un-Catholic opinion to be like, I don't get to do this, therefore no one should.
Right.
Because we understand that in heaven there is a hierarchy of
Oh, here we
beati-
go.
of
Here we
beatitude,
go.
right?
Patrick's working his book in.
There's a hierarchy of beatitude. This is not in my book. This is in Bonaventure's book.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about this before. There's a hierarchy of, we talk about like virgins and martyrs and confessors, right? Like a martyr has
Chads, soy jacks.
those are the circles of hell. Um
Sorry.
there are certain people who on earth have been able to participate in God's grace, have been given a
Mhm.
greater share of God's grace.
Yes.
Chief among them is the Blessed Mother, who
Yeah.
has a unique grace, and then there's
Mhm.
like there's tiers below that, right?
Yeah.
Like a martyr has been given more grace by God to be martyred for the faith. A confessor, someone who has been tortured for the faith, has been given less grace than a martyr, just categorically speaking. Now, does this mean it's not fair for the confessor because he didn't get to be martyred? So like all this stuff. It's like no, the martyr, the
It is
grace
not
that he's
fair.
been given flows down to the confessor. The confessor accepts it, understands, is brought up into the glory of God, that the martyr experienced. And so like someone who has unless you believe that, but when someone goes through a spiritual experience, the world stays the same. There's no reason for you to be angry that someone else gets to do something cool that you don't.
Right.
Unless you believe that the world stays the same when someone has a spiritual experience that isn't yours. You know?
It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah. People did this with Austria at Franciscan.
Oh, really?
I like pretty much decided I wasn't going to study abroad,
Yeah.
partially because we were building the podcast during my junior and senior year, and there was really no time for me to go to Austria and do the podcast.
There's no internet in Europe.
Well, it would have been unbearably hard
That's
to
why
schedule
everything
the podcast when I
online
was 5 hours ahead.
that's why everything online is in English. It was hard enough to schedule it when, we were in 1 hour apart
No,
anyway.
but also in Austria, they famously turn off the Wi-Fi. Yeah, in the
Why?
car down because they
To
want you to
hang
make
out.
friends. They don't want you to constantly be on FaceTime with your friends back in the States.
Sure, 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 sure.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They don't want you to stream American pornography in the in the Austrian.
Exclusively Austrian.
Anyway,
No jokes.
I
Just
am
move
not gonna
on.
make any jokes. I don't make jokes here. That's not what I do. I'm the serious intellectual one, and you are the comedy boy. Buy my book.
With boyish charm.
What if I released a book the day before yours? And
You
it
get together with, I don't know, like Sophia Institute Press, and you're
Yeah. Well, I self-publish on Amazon, and it's an
like,
airport book, and it's a medical thriller, and it vastly outsells your book.
how dare you bring video bonus podcast content into this our main podcast?
And and what I'll do is I'll have a bunch of people endorse the book, and all of the first letters of their names will spell out Patrick Nevy.
I read a really good book recently though.
Oh no.
It's called. No, I'm just kidding. We're not talking about it. Let's talk
Save
about
it
it
for
on the
the
bonus pod.
bonus.
Save it
The
for the
bonus
bonus
pod.
cast.
$10 a month, patreon.com/thecrunch. Another thing that's interesting, it's also in the opposite direction. So another thing that I've seen is there was this post about
Oh, no one else can do this because I did it.
no, no, more so like things being for everyone kind of,
Mm-hmm.
but not in the negative way. So like there was this post that was a statue. It was meant to look like the Blessed Virgin Mary, but it was a woman kind of holding out a cloak and it was kind of in a diamond shape. And there were not really any defining, like it didn't look like a woman standing with a cloak on. It looked like a diamond, which you can imagine the implication of what that might look like.
Oh,
Yes.
got it.
So there's a post about this and some I can only assume young guy was like, I don't get it. Can someone please explain this to me? And someone was like, I'll tell you when you're older. And he was like, I don't know anything about this. You know, I went to public school, blah, 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 blah. And then someone responded to him and said, you should read Love and Responsibility. And I was like, this is the last person qualified to read Love and Responsibility. Like, what on earth?
I see what you're saying. You're
Like,
right. No,
why?
that is
This is
another.
another
Yeah.
thing where it's like, oh, this person has a question about some sexual thing.
Mhm.
He should read the most dense philosophical writing about this thing,
Yeah.
even though he has no experience. So I responded really quick. I was like, please don't read Love and Responsibility. Please read Dr. Ted Shrie's Men, Women, and the Mystery of Love. Like, just read that. And if you have questions,
If you want to read that, if you want to
if you
read
want
something,
to, and if you don't
yeah.
want to read it, that's okay. You might even need just like an instructional video. Might be a good place for you to start. That might
Yes.
be helpful.
Go to
Have,
tobinstitute.com
call your
/Christopher
dad
Wright. Yeah,
maybe
talk
before
to
you
your
do
dad or something.
anything else. But just like that's another thing where, and I think that culture plays into this other culture
Yeah.
that we've been talking about, where
It's the same idea. It's like
yeah,
that's not for me, therefore it's for no one. And this is for me,
for me,
therefore it's for
therefore it's for
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's two sides of the same coin. And I think it's made it so that Catholics are incapable of, like, this is why we don't have really any ability to talk to or work with Protestants generally.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You know, like this weekend or this week, I was visiting this pregnancy center, largely run by Protestants. Pretty much everyone there is Protestant, I think. And they were like,
For now.
for now,
I don't know.
it's right next to the basilica in St. Louis, and so it's like you can't hang out in the shadow of one of the most beautiful churches in America,
Yeah.
and like
The Rome of the West.
the Rome of the West, the Vatican of Missouri.
Which means there's a lot of a lot of bank robberies going
You know
on.
what they should do? They should put an arch in the Vatican and call it the St. Louis of the East. Anyway, nobody should do that. I hate
St. Louis of the East.
I hate the arch. I think it's a stupid monument. I don't like going up in it. It's one of the ugliest, awful. It's like, what if they're like, when they built it, so they were a bunch of guys in a boardroom. They're like, all right, so we need a defining thing for St. Louis. Yeah. We need something cool. We need something cool. What should we build? What if we took all of the claustrophobic people and all the people who are afraid of heights and made their worst nightmare? And then made it so that they
I
had
think
to
they added the elevator later.
do the elevator sucks ass, bro. Have you been in it?
No, we
It's
didn't
a
have time.
little capsule
Mhm.
that is maybe the width of a man and the breadth of a child. Like it is small. It's very small. You can't stand up straight, and you could maybe lay down one direction, but not the other way. And you have to
Uh-huh.
sit on a little bench, and as it goes up, it like it's just constantly like you go up because you're turning, you're going in an arch, and so you're like
Yeah.
in this little thing, and you're kind of rocking back and forth, and then you get out at the top, and it's just this tiny room, and you can feel it swaying back and forth in the
Uh-huh.
wind, and they have little windows, and then it says you are 600 meters up, and it's like, what? Who designed this? Who made it? Why? All of the pictures in our scrapbook of when I went up is just like, you can see all the tears on my face or on my shirt from like, because I was crying. I was so scared when I was a kid
It's
going
really
up in this
funny.
thing.
I'm
I was
sorry.
like
It's really
12.
funny.
I had a horrible
That's really
time.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
what were we talking about? Got confused.
St. Louis only has one river. Cringe gateway to the west.
That's what I'm saying.
St. Louis, not St. Louis. Lewis and Clark's pit stop.
We were talking about St.
Cringe.
Louis. So we're talking about the Protestants. So yeah, I think there's a really um just like there's so much struggle with the compatibility in terms of the way that we talk about the gospel, because like as soon as someone says, "Oh yeah, he got saved," then it's like the alarm bells start going off and you're like, "Well, we don't talk about it that way." And like you just are unable to bridge the gap for a lot of Catholics. They just don't know what to do when that
Yeah.
situation, when someone starts speaking that way.
Hmm.
And I think that's like one of the reasons why we have a lot of the problems that we do, that we're not as credible as we do, because we don't know how to speak about things that aren't in our own language, you know? Um, but it's kind of necessary in order to achieve the things, for example, like ending
Yeah.
abortion. We got to work
Hmm.
with the Protestants on that. Like we can't just be on our own. So
Yeah.
you're going to need to do that if you want to accomplish the change of society that you want to accomplish. So
Yeah. They
anyway,
got us
that's all
into
I'm
this
saying.
mess, so they're gonna have to get us out of it.
The Protestants,
Uh-huh.
one way or the other.
Well, yeah, that was one of the big that was one of the reason why the stereotype of Catholics is they have so many kids is because Protestants had ways to not.
Yeah, well, for the longest time, it was only Catholics that were involved in the pro-life movement. There were no
Yes.
like, for the first 10 years, there was not really any Protestant, like, they just didn't care.
Yeah. Anyway,
Now it's different, but
yeah, which is good. Um anyway, I don't know what made me think of this, but I was at a bar with a bunch of friends and one of my friends brought her Protestant friend and one of my friends started talking to her about John 6
oh, no.
just right out the gate. And I was like,
Buddy,
"No, you
no,
don't." He didn't know. I was like, "You don't
no,
know that
he doesn't know.
it doesn't that's not how you do it.
It
You
doesn't
should
work.
know, but it doesn't work like
Yeah,
that." And it was very funny. She was being
yeah,
so polite, and we were like, "We gotta
sure.
save her." We were all looking at each other like, "We gotta fix this."
She thinks she's been saved, we're about to save her again.
Joke's on you. This is
Yeah,
actually if you think we're at a bar, we're actually at an Irish church. They look very similar, but they're different.
yeah. You come up behind him and you whisper something about, primary and secondary doctrine, and then he's so confused, and in that moment, she runs away.
Yeah, I
It's the dude at the at the at the baseball game talking to the girl. It's talking about John 6.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's funny.
I a while ago applied for a job at a was applying for a bunch of jobs, and this is a while
A
ago,
while ago, long time ago,
long
a
time ago.
long
I was applying
time.
for a bunch of jobs, and one of them was at like a Protestant thing. It was like a
Mhm.
Christian thing, but it was a Protestant thing. And I was like in the cover letter for the job, I was like very much like coding my language evangelical.
Sure,
Like I was using
sure.
the word Bible instead of scripture. Like
Whoa, whoa.
talking about being saved instead of my conversion experience.
Mhm.
But yeah, like we don't know how to we don't know how to like cross the aisle in that respect. Talk to
Yeah,
people in ways
and this
that
is
are
true of
familiar.
Protestants, and it's true of atheists. This is why people default to the right-wing language when they're talking to people, or left-wing language, because it's
Hmm.
like they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do, so I guess I'll just talk about how." I'll repeat Steven Crowder's talking points about trans people, or I'll repeat
Hmm.
the left's talking points about whatever gay marriage, because I
Yes,
don't know what to
it's
say
a
here.
shibboleth. Have you heard of this word?
Shibboleth.
A shibboleth.
You have a lisp? What are you doing? What's happening?
I'll look it up so I know that I'm getting the right
Yeah,
definition. But it's
yeah.
something. It's you can also
Isn't that a demon in the Old Testament?
no
Okay.
a shibboleth. You might like some people use the word dog whistle.
Oh, okay.
A shibboleth is a community-wide password that so it's a custom or tradition, usually a choice of phrasing or even a single word that distinguishes one group of people from another.
Ah,
Yeah.
so the word "chotch" for the Crunch podcast in 2017 was a shibboleth.
Yes.
Wow. I'm making
it
history.
it's it's just it's like in today's language it just means like it means like a you hear the word dog whistle where it's like that it's similar in concept where one person uses this phrase that means something different to their group but not to anyone else. So
Mm.
it's sort of it's not just like the password is monkey foot. It's more like when I use the term inclusive, the word inclusive has a meaning independent of what you think of when I say the word inclusive.
Mhm.
But to like, we're trying to build a more
It's like
inclusive workplace.
yeah.
All of a sudden, to the person who's completely unaware, it's like, oh, okay, cool. We're trying to include more people. Awesome. But to the people who are in that in group, they're like, okay, this means something very specific about our attitude
Mhm.
towards LGBT people, our
Yeah.
LGBT. I forgot the keys. That sort of thing.
It's also another phrase that I hear a lot, especially in the medical world, is when you start calling something safe and effective, that's
Oh yeah,
that's danger zone.
really?
Yes, that's one that comes up a lot in different
Tell me about
areas.
it, because that's a great example. Because to me, that just sounds like
Right, well, it's so I don't need to if you're gonna be mad about me about what I say about vaccines, you can be mad about me, I don't care. Message me on
okay,
Discord. But there's a whole thing when the vaccines were coming out, every single person that was telling you to get the vaccine said it's safe and effective, and that was just,
really?
like, the thing that was said over and over and over again. The same language is now being used in the pro-abortion industry to talk
I've
about
heard that phrase in terms of
about the abortion pill that they're sending to women to do abortions in their home. It's like, "Oh, it's a safe and effective way to have a do it yourself abortion at home."
mm,
It's like we this line keeps getting trotted out, and
mhm.
it feels like to me, it's I don't know, it's some kind of party line or industry line where it's like, we we know that it's not, but we're gonna keep saying it.
Yes,
You know?
it's a
Like,
great.
there's some kind of internal cognitive dissonance where they have to keep proving to themselves that, like, these things actually are what we say that they are,
Yeah.
even though there's, like, mounting evidence in the vaccine case, and there's very clear evidence in the abortion case that it's not.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think it's a way to use language that it is effective in its own respect, because it brings people into the in group as they figure out slowly,
mhm,
this
mhm.
is what this means.
Yes.
It's like, because when when you say I want to be inclusive, or we need to make sure that we keep, I don't know, I can't think of a right wing one right now, but I try to play both sides on things like this.
You say "Back the blue" or whatever.
No, those are slogans. Those are like
No, maybe not
obvious,
slogan. How
you
about this
know?
one? How about this one? How about this one? You say something like, um, my rights. When you start talking about your rights, maybe,
Sure.
or like
Rights also go both
the
ways,
problem
though.
is that the right is not very subtle, and so
No.
they don't have a lot of these.
No, but also because the left just throws a bunch of, like, this is actually
Well,
secretly a white power thing, you know?
the left is more obviously satanic than the right, and so they more easily use the things that Satanists use. You know.
No, I think a better example.
I love that phrase. I'm gonna say that sentence a lot more now. The left is more obviously satanic than the right,
You're
because that's
so
just that's such a it's
it's
gonna
just
make everyone
you're
mad.
asking for emails, man, is
I
what you're
know.
asking for.
Well, I
You're
just
asking for emails.
we need to drive engagement.
We all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, I don't have enough angry emails that I can screenshot and put on Twitter and say, "Look at this, look at this."
Look at this nonsense. All
I'm thinking
right.
about going locked on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't been growing as much as I thought I would, I
Sure.
started tweeting a lot more, and I've only gained, like, 2 followers. So I'm like, first of all, I suck. Second of all, algorithm hates me. Third of all, I'm going locked so that no one can see my greatness. That's the
Okay.
dream. And then you can just be my mouthpiece.
Mhm.
I'll pay you $5 to tweet whatever I want.
Wait. You'll pay me $5 to tweet what you want?
Correct. I'm
Oh,
paying you for the privilege of using your audience
you're
to
paying me for the privilege
you
of.
are going to magnify
Oh, I
my
get it.
voice.
Mhm.
Yes, my oppression, my violence.
Oh
You're
gosh.
gonna yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't just kidding. I'm joking.
Stop. I mean,
I'll bleep all that out.
oh my gosh, that's very funny. You're
I
like,
like I
"Yes."
like when I like when I go so obviously I like going too far, but I like when I when I go a little too far that even makes you stop in your tracks because then it's like, all right, I now know where
Alright,
I can't go there
I'm gonna
again.
get emails about this too.
Yeah.
I don't
Are
know.
we
So
do you want to do Dr. Ethan's dating
how does
corner
this
or
connect though? How does this connect?
oh,
We're
how does it
talking
connect?
about talking
Yeah.
about people think that things aren't for
Yeah.
everyone, and then we're talking about, like, the way we use language. I don't know.
Yeah,
How
well, I
does
don't
this
think it has
connect?
to connect. I think we're just processing. I think it
Cool.
connects insofar as everyone just needs to be chill and normal and use prudence instead of Yeah, just like think about people other than yourself, fundamentally, is really
Interesting.
what it is. Like there are, there are other people than you who will enjoy other things than you and who need different things than you. And just because something is good or bad for you doesn't mean it's good or bad for everybody else, which is hard to do when you live in an echo chamber of social media. So
That
be
is true.
aware, be
No,
on guard.
that is that is a great way to connect it because it's like the reason why we are so like, well, this has to be for everyone. This
It's
isn't
because
for me, so
it
it
is for
is.
everyone that we talk to.
Yeah, because and we keep ourselves in these echo chambers. People talk about social media creating an echo chamber. I think we created social media. So
Yeah. Who
what do you do?
created the echo chamber?
We
The
create echo
chicken or the
chambers.
egg?
We create echo chambers through our use of
Mhm.
language in that way. I think
It's actually
that's
called Echo Chambers Monster.
is the echo chamber in the room with us right now.
I don't know.
That's my new favorite meme. When
That's
you're like,
you gotta pick one. You can't do Mrs. Obama, it's been an honor, and
it's my
is
new
the
favorite. It's my new favorite one.
yeah, after the
I
last hour.
I saw some right wing
Oh.
um commentator on Catholic commentator on Twitter said something about feminists infiltrating the church, and someone responded, "Are these feminists infiltrating the church in the room with us right now?" And I was like,
That
"Oh
is really
man,
funny. That's
that
good.
sucks." It just got so owned. But I did get blocked on Twitter by this guy, and I a critique of him is in my book. And so I don't know, he's not gonna find out about it.
Who? Who is it? Who is it?
Tim Gordon.
Who is it?
His Case for Patriarchy book, I had to read it.
Yeah?
Um, it was uh
Bad?
it was poorly written.
Yeah.
I have to be honest.
A lot of books
It
these days being poorly written.
it I he said a lot of things like history and church teaching. It's obvious based on history. History shows us. Church teaching shows us. In the
Yeah.
same way that like people say science
Science.
says
Yeah. Yeah.
or studies have shown.
Studies have shown.
Um it's and there weren't really citations for these things. He
Studies have
kind of
shown that your ass is grass, mister. That's what I'm saying.
he did that thing that I like that right wingers do when they take a papal encyclical about liberalism and they say, "See, the popes didn't like the left." And I have bad news for you, my
Yeah,
friend.
buddy.
All
Let's
of your
start.
opinions are included in that word
I know.
liberalism.
Let's talk about definitions here.
Let's talk about definitions and terms here. Um,
That's
so yeah,
unfortunate.
it was a very poorly written book.
Poor Matt Fradd collaborator Timothy Gordon.
He hasn't. I don't think he's ever been on Matt Fradd's show.
He has been on Matt Fradd's
Oh,
show.
he has been on Matt Fradd's
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
But I think Matt
Someone.
has apologized
Oh, really?
for platforming him. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or at
I
least
do know.
acknowledge that he's like a little bit off the deep end or something.
I do know that he had Abigail Favale on his show, but not Stephanie Gordon, and a bunch of Tim Gordon people were mad about that.
I don't know who those people are, and I'm okay with it.
Abigail Favale is great. She wrote a good book. I'm citing it in mine.
I got to write
She
a book.
followed me on Twitter.
The other reason that I have to write a book before yours is so that you can cite me in your book. If you quote one of my tweets in your book, I'll give you $1,000.
That's way too much money.
It's Patrick. Look at me.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm really
It's
hoping
enough.
I'm really hoping that this book makes a splash. Mostly because I
I want to be famous.
I want this podcast to do well, and
Oh,
this book making a splash will help our podcast do well.
yes. We can go on the tour. I've been thinking a lot lately about how we can just start doing this
But
before your
yes,
book comes out.
I want to be famous
I want to be
also.
famous
Yeah.
too. It's with fame comes money. With money
Yeah.
comes not being stressed about
When you
money.
write a controversial book about gender in today's political climate,
Political climate.
you get to go on Fox News.
Fox
Faux news.
Faux news. They should
You get to
spell
go
it
on
FAUX news.
yeah.
So let me tell you this. So here's what I think we should do. What?
Sorry. This sounds like a Norm Macdonald setup. Let me tell you about this. Here's what I think. I was thinking about let me tell you this.
Well, I believe.
I've been reading a lot about this Hitler guy.
Yeah,
The
it's
more I do, I don't like him.
the more I learn about this fella, I don't care for him. So I think here's what I think we should do. So before your book comes out, obviously
Yeah.
after the book comes out, you're going in and around the book. You're going on a press tour. You're going on all the shows. Ave Maria is like, go on this show, go on that show. You're going to be on Matt Fradd without me. It's fine. I don't care. Whatever. Do what you have to do. Before then,
Mhm.
we should start DMing and leveraging all of the connections you have so carefully crafted and I have so carefully avoided. And we should ask to be on every podcast that we can ask to be on in like the next 6 months so that we can double our audience in 6 months. I think it's possible. What do you think?
I think so too. A lot
I
is
think
gonna be
I think
happening in
because
the
of your
next 6
boyish
months, for
charm
sure.
and because of my right-wing views, we're we're gonna be big time.
We get
Oh man. I'm rebranding myself as right wing.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna start slowly, like on the wall behind me. I'm gonna hang up like a handgun and like an American flag and just start
Did you see
the
that
transformation.
political cartoon that was like,
What do you
um
think about my idea?
I think it's a great idea. I think
Okay.
you becoming a right-wing grifter is a great idea.
No, I'm gonna become the abrasive one, and you're gonna be like the cool
I
one.
hope you do recognize that, um, let me leveraging all of my connections for free publicity can only happen once,
Yes.
and I have a book to promote.
No, but you let me explain this to you. You don't have to leverage your connections
Uh-huh.
because the publisher will do that for you. The publisher will say, "Hey, we need Patrick on your show."
Sure,
You know what I mean?
sure.
And so and if we
Mhm,
go on, let's
mhm.
say in March, your book comes out what? September? I don't know when the book comes out.
Book will come
Next
out in
year?
2024.
Yeah, so a year from now,
Yeah.
2024, you say, "Hey, I'm back. Remember last time we were on? Oh, we had so much fun. And you have a book out now? We already have rapport. We're gonna do it's gonna be so much better than it would have otherwise." So
That's a good point.
what I'm saying is I'm helping you.
Actually, you're right. Reaching out just to be on their show is better than reaching out to promote my book. Yes, that's a good point. That's
I'm rarely right about these
to
things,
our
so it
to our
feels
editor
good.
in Ghana. Can you clip that? um,
Dr. Ethan,
Welcome to Dr. Ethan's Dating Corner, the part of the show that's sponsored by our Discord, bit.ly/crunch Discord. Go to the Discord to post your dating corner question. Sorry to the person who didn't realize that we were going to answer their question live on the podcast. If you post your question there, it goes in the podcast unless you put anonymous. Because I didn't think about this. Sometimes people post things on the Discord and they're like, my boyfriend's never going to see this, but they listen to the podcast.
and then we ruin their
And
relationship.
we've ruined their relationship.
We've ended as many relationships as we've begun, which I feel like it's good to stay even on something like that.
It perfectly balances all things should be. I
Yeah.
did get an anonymous question to my email,
Oh,
patrick at
perfect.
thecrunchcast.com. So this one is actually brought by my inbox, not by our Discord. So
Yeah.
this is sponsored by my my Gmail.
Yes.
Um,
The
on
sentient G from the Google logo sponsors this segment.
this one comes from an anonymous female, so please give them a name.
How about Ashley?
Ashley. Hey, Dr. Ethan and Professor Patrick. I have a situation that has arisen with a friend. For context, we are both upperclassmen at a university with a substantial Catholic
We're
community.
both upper class.
We're both upper class. We can afford to go to conferences. He and I have gotten to know each other for a few years, including time when we were dating other people. Ooh.
Ooh.
Recently, we spent more time together. Quickly, I
Mhm.
saw that I really like spending time with this guy, more so than I realized in the past. He's also been dropping some hints that the feeling is mutual, so hopefully something concrete will be happening soon. Here's my
Yes.
question and
Okay.
some more context.
Oh.
My
Why
most
didn't you just put
recent
it in the previous context section?
my most recent relationship was a long-term. Wait, hold on.
That was
I'm
your
getting
phone. I
Oh,
thought it was my
my
phone.
wife is calling.
Don't pick up. Don't pick up. Don't pick up. Don't pick up. Don't pick up.
Okay, why not?
No, you
Oh.
should pick. It's your wife. Why are you listening to me?
Hi, Phoebe. Hey.
Yeah.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
My most recent relationship was a longer term serious one and ended in the guy breaking up with me to pursue discernment of the priesthood.
Okay.
Because of this, I'm a little hesitant to start again and open up to someone else with the fear of it not working out. Any
Mhm.
advice for starting over?
What are you just never gonna date again? Because this one guy hurt you? You're just hanging it up? You're amazing. You're Ashley, the upper class.
You have your
man.
own furniture home store.
You are named after
Is
one
that-
of this country's great civil rights leaders, Ashley Smith, and she
Is
marched.
Ashley Furniture Home Store a national chain?
It is.
Okay, good, because I was worried it was only a Melbourne thing.
Ashley Smith marched from Wichita, Kansas to Salina, Kansas to
Protest
to protest the wheat tax on Kansans. And you're named
specifically
after,
Kansan women.
specifically Kansan women, and she was a farmer, and you are of her bloodline. And I'm telling you now because she's contacted me and she wanted me to let you know that you're her granddaughter. So anyway, I don't think you should be worried about anything because you come from good stock, the civil rights movement.
Chicken stock.
Chicken stock, wheat stock, wheat stock.
Yes.
So, yeah, what are you worried for? You're attractive, you're fun, this guy likes you. So you date and it doesn't work out. You've learned more than you did before. You know?
Yeah, it's like I'm hesitant to start again and open up with someone else for fear of it not working out. Any advice for starting over? Yeah, fear is not a good reason to not do something.
Yes.
Um,
That's the line that I used to get Emma to date me, by the way. Yeah, pretty much.
That's good.
Yeah. She was afraid. This is almost exactly the same thing as what happened. Emma didn't have like a long-term relationship before me, but she
Mhm.
was afraid that we were going to date and it wasn't going to work out. And I was like, being afraid is like not a good reason to do anything. So like regardless of me wanting to be your boyfriend, don't make decisions out of fear because that's not going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
So even if it means me not being your boyfriend, I want you to make a decision out of peace and not out of fear. So discern that and then get back to me. And then she's like, yeah, I want to date you. And I was like, frick yeah, dude.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Score. So
Hey, it might work out.
anyway, it might work out. Who
It might
knows?
not work out, but it might. I mean, and that's either things are gonna work out or they're not. And 50-50, I like those odds. Everything has a 50% chance of happening. Everything. Because either it happens or it doesn't. And that's 50-50.
Hmm.
Statistics, baby.
Yeah. I
Meteor
don't
hitting the earth, 50-50. Me trying my shoe, 50-50. Me pooping my pants, 100%. Sorry.
if you add up the first two things, you get the third thing. A meteor hitting the earth and Patrick tying his shoe is the perfect mixture. Yeah. I don't know if there's much more to say. It's hard. Any tips for like starting over? You're not really starting over. Like this is not you're not doing the same thing again because you're a different person now. You
That's
know?
true. It's a
Like
new thing.
you have learned so much. You're in a completely different stage of life from when you started dating. You have new friends, new relationships, new experiences. It's like sure, it's starting over, but don't think of it as I'm going back to where I was 3 years ago when I started dating Brad, you
Yeah.
know? You are you now. And so be confident with that. Like you've grown.
Yeah.
You're better. You know more.
Yeah. Don't compare this relationship to the last one. That's
Yeah,
not good.
that's not gonna work out for you.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
What
fun.
will work out for you is dating this guy
Yes.
and falling in love.
Looking forward. Looking forward to hearing hearing
Yeah.
the reply email 10 years
Yeah.
from now when you're
10 years
like,
from now.
we got
4
married and we have
kids.
5 grandkids and we're very happy. They work fast up there in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita,
The
Kansas.
descendants of Ashley Smith are a hardy bunch.
They really are. They're very fertile people, the Kansans.
They go quick.
They do. Well, that's it for the podcast. I
Yeah.
think if you like our show and you want to be a part of our community, there's 450 people that also love our show and want to be a part of this community, and they're on Discord. So
People
if you
love
go
the
to
show so much, they're willing to talk about it off the clock
yeah,
in their free time.
and talk to each other and share
Indeed.
things and post pictures of what they're doing. And it's
Yes.
very wholesome. It's very fun. You learn a lot and
Mhm.
you get exposed to new ideas and worldviews.
Mhm.
And it's on bit.ly/crunch discord.
And it's a chotch-free zone. We don't
If
let any chotches in.
if you want to go even deeper and
Except for Ben Eastman.
you think that what we're doing is worth money, because I think it is, Patrick. I don't know about
Mhm.
you, but I think this podcast is worth $2. You think $2?
I think this podcast is worth $2.
$2.
Hey, and if you think that's true, we would love to give you a free podcast for those
That's
$2.
true, right? So it's a BOGO.
It's buy one, get one. Yeah.
It's like got pay less shoes. And so if you go
RIP in peace.
RIP in peace. Go to patreon.com/thecrunch. You give at the $10 a month level. You get 2 podcasts a week. That's more than your grandma has ever had. And
my grandma has had 10 minutes of one podcast.
Ashley Smith wouldn't dream of having that much audio content on her
Jeez.
march from Wichita to Salina.
She fought for equal rights for women's podcasters, and
Yes,
you
and
should.
you can make that a reality unless you, of course, hate female podcasters.
If you
Then
hate
don't
women,
give us
don't.
money.
If you hate women, don't give
Yeah.
us money. If you love women, support us on Patreon.
So do the math. We're about to be rich, bro.
Dude, we're gonna be so rich.
Everyone's about to give us money on Patreon.
Next week we're gonna be like, no one new supported us on Patreon. I can't believe our
How
audience
dare
is
you.
canceled. Our audience is canceled.
Finally.
Support women.
If you want to see all the visual gags and goofs that we do on this podcast, you should subscribe on YouTube at the Crunch Catholic Podcast on YouTube. You click subscribe, click that bell button, and
like
you'll get notified
earlier,
every time we post a new video.
Earlier, we did a bit where Ethan said that people wearing flannels should be made fun of, and I took off my flannel without saying anything. So if you were an audio listener, you didn't get that joke.
You missed out. So you can only catch that on YouTube, youtube.com, the Crunch Catholic Podcast. Patrick, you got anything else for the people?
If you're only an audio listener, you're also not going to get this bit either. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-da, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-dum, 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 ba-ba. Bye, guys. See you next week. Ba-da-dum, 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 ba-ba. Ba-da-dum, 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 ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. Is that not?